Hi there, I'm Dr. Dan from Genius Coaching. Today we'll be talking about Carl Jung's theories about introversion and extroversion. What's the difference between these two? Well, Jung believed that the difference is their orientation to the object. So by object he means the outside physical world. The extrovert is very attracted to the outside physical world. He uses his energy to interact with the world. And so, for example, he's fascinated by people. He likes experiences with the outside world. And the outside world determines what he believes and how he lives. For example, if we talk about morality, how does the extrovert determine what's right and wrong? Well, people will determine that. However people act, whatever they believe is right and wrong, that's what the extrovert will believe. So in this way, you can either be controlled by the outside world or the inside inner world, like beliefs and values. So as I said, the extrovert is basically using the people as his moral standard. And in terms of how he lives his life, he's going to use objective facts about the world. So the facts about the world are going to determine how he lives his life. And the way people act and think are going to determine a lot of his values and morals, things like this. So that's why the extrovert is going to be more friendly, because he's attracted to the outside world, to people. That's why he's going to be more likely to pursue experiences with the outside world and more interested in objects, things. Meanwhile, the introvert doesn't feel like that. The introvert is trying to direct his energy within. So it's almost like the introvert has this battle with the outside world. The introvert doesn't want to allow his energies to be pulled and attracted to the object, to the outside physical world. So the introvert is basically trying to find a defense. So rather than being pulled towards the world, the introvert is making beliefs about the world. The introvert is basically translating or converting the objective world into ideas. In this way, the introvert thinks about and interacts with his own ideas about the physical world, rather than allowing the objective physical world to pull him and control him. So the introvert, it's like this battle, and abstract ideas about the world are serving as sort of a barrier between the introvert's mind or ego and the physical world. Another thing is that there's going to be a balance. So let's say you're predominantly extroverted in your traits. Well, in the unconscious mind, there will still be introverted traits as a counterbalance. So in your conscious mind, you might be thinking mainly of fulfilling these extroverted traits. But in your unconscious mind, below the surface, there will be functioning those introverted traits. So it's okay for you to be mainly extroverted. However, there can be a problem that arises if you're too extroverted or if you're too introverted, because these introverted traits for an extrovert that exist in the unconscious mind, they can't be totally suppressed. So let's say, for example, you become 85, 90, some really high level of extrovert. Then these introverted traits that exist in the unconscious mind will rebel because they want to be expressed. So when there's an imbalance in the mind, Carl Jung believed that the mind tries to correct it, because the mind is a self-regulating system in Jung's philosophy. So if you're too extroverted, those introverted traits that are being repressed will break free into the conscious mind and cause all sorts of strange subjective ideas and feelings. See, because that's what you're repressing, those subjective aspects of yourself. So they'll break free in a very chaotic, irrational way and force you to deal with that imbalance. Same thing with the introvert. Let's say the introvert is avoiding people too much, being just too contemplative, too reflective, and avoiding the outside world. So those extroverted traits that exist in the introvert's unconscious mind are going to break through and cause a lot of irrational feelings in the introvert towards the outside world. Because those extroverted traits, they want to be expressed. So they'll cause the introvert to feel unloved or some sort of strange obsessive attraction to something about the outside world. And in this way, the mind forces the ego to deal with imbalances. Because for Jung, that's what it's all about. These opposing opposites and learning to be an integrated, full human being that uses all the aspects of his mind. So even though you may be mainly extroverted, you need to have some introverted traits functioning. And the same thing is true for the introvert. There has to be some kind of balance there. It's okay if there's predominantly one than the other because of that counterbalance. So you'll always be both, even if it's in the unconscious mind. So let's do a little summary here. Basically, the introvert and the extrovert differ in how they interact with the outside world, the object. So the introvert wants to prevent his energies from being pulled and attracted by the outside world, and the extrovert, on the other hand, feels attracted to the outside world and just goes with that. And this is what energizes the extrovert, the people, places, the things. And the introvert is energized by his thoughts, feelings, ideas. So as I said, the introvert is going to convert things in the outside world to abstract ideas. Ideas, so for example, if the introvert is talking to people, he's more likely to listen to what they're saying, maybe consider the ideas they're talking about, philosophize about social interaction, things like that. In that way, the introvert is protecting himself from being pulled too much by the people he's interacting with. He's converting people into abstract ideas, thinking about their attributes, what they're saying, philosophizing, reflecting about them, so that these reflections of what's happening in the outside world are what the introvert is focusing his energy on. And in that way, he's still focusing his energy within his mind, rather than allowing his energy to be sent out to the people he's interacting with, or pulled into believing what other people believe. But of course, as I said, the danger there is where if the introvert believes that his ego has all the power, where he believes that he's just independent from the outside world and the outside world has no power over him, that's where the introvert's mind will rebel. Because the ego, even though it appears to have a lot of power, that it chooses what to do and these sorts of things, Jung believed that we have all these influences within our mind that are stronger than the ego and that will control the ego at various points in time. Even if you're an introvert and you believe you can just be an ego that philosophizes all the time and that avoids the outside world, all those other elements of your personality that aren't in line with that are going to demand to be expressed. So in this way, Jung felt that you would have these irrational feelings if you suppressed too much of yourself. And in this way, the mind self-regulates. The mind calls attention, like, hey, you're being too introverted. You're too stuck in your head. So the mind will cause irrational feelings towards the outside world to call your attention to that fact that you're not expressing enough of your extroverted traits. In the same way, if the extrovert allows himself to be too attracted to the outside world, the mind is going to find a way to call his attention to that imbalance, to bring about that balance, to self-regulate. So that's basically the difference between the introvert and the extrovert. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy your day.